I'm the Executive Director of the PLUS Group. We want to thank you for taking your time today to join us for the PLUS Group webinar series. Today's topic is Don't Leave the Success of Your Disability Planning Presentation Up to Chance, and will be presented to you by Barry Lundquist, President of the Council for Disability Awareness. Please note that all lines will be muted during this webinar. If you would like to ask a question, please go to the question pane on your control panel and type it in. We will address the questions at the end of the presentation. Also note that we are recording this webinar and it will be sent to you along with the presentation in a follow-up email. And you should get that either later today or by tomorrow. Also, it will be hung on our website at www.plusgroupunus.com. Again, I want to thank everybody for your attendance today, and I'm going to now turn this over to Barry.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I guess good morning to our West Coast friends. Thank you very much, Tracy. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and thanks to the PLUS Group for hosting and providing this opportunity. Through the course of today's discussion, I hope to help you help others to understand their disability risk, to understand the importance of income protection planning, and to actually do something about it, to take action. We at the Council for Disability Awareness are available. I'm personally available to help you at any time. As Tracy said, the PLUS Group will make this presentation available to you following the webinar. And certainly, we invite you to visit our website, which is disabilitycanhappen.org. You can see that on all the slides here. And to use all the tools and resources we have to offer. It's very easy. There are no usernames, no passwords, no excuses. We're going to talk about disability risks, resources, and solutions. And success is born of preparation and knowledge. I agree, and I like that. Among the lessons I've learned from many years of sales and sales management are, first of all, you need to differentiate yourself. You need to create your own unique brand that makes you different and better. And you need to keep building that brand every day. Second, you need to focus on what you control. A great expression I like is to put your efforts into controlling the sail, not the wind. And third, you reap what you sow, the law of the harvest, of course. And one thing that can set you apart and that you 100% control is how much time and effort you put into preparation and developing knowledge. And if you prepare and make yourself knowledgeable about the topic of disability, and if you concern yourselves with helping your clients protect their most valuable resource, you will be successful. So today, I really like to accomplish four things. First, I want to introduce or reintroduce you to the Council for Disability Awareness. I know many of you probably are familiar with what we do and the resources we offer. Secondly, I would like to familiarize you with the tools and resources we have so that you can use them to educate prospects and clients and employers and others. I'd like to offer some specific ideas that you can use to engage clients and prospects about the topics of the disability risk and income protection. And lastly, we'd really like to get you connected with CDA, get you using and sharing CDA materials, and really together helping us spread the disability awareness message. Okay, as far as the agenda goes, I'm going to talk a little bit about CDA. I'll touch on some statistics. I want to talk a little bit about the disability divide research reports that we've been producing. I'll give you some ideas again for starting a conversation. Talk a little bit about some of the other tools and resources we have available, and we'll conclude with some of the things that we're doing for May, which is, of course, Disability Insurance Awareness Month, including how you can win one of the iPads we'll be giving away. I'm going to start at the beginning here. Now, this should be painfully obvious, but to many wage earners and even financial advisors, it inexplicably is not. And that is that income is the source of all financial security. All financial security flows from income. Income is to financial security what water is to life. The latter cannot exist without the former. And it's income that allows people to pay their bills, to have a nice home or apartment, to save money, to save for retirement, to pay insurance bills, really to do everything financially that's important to them. Income is dependent upon a job and good health, and there are no guarantees for any of us, unfortunately, of continued good health. For everyone, health is at risk, and so is income. And far too often, the risk of illness or accident and of income loss is not understood, it's not recognized, and it's not protected against. And that's why CDA exists. What is the Council for Disability Awareness? We are a nonprofit corporation that educates, communicates, and raises awareness. And specifically, we are an awareness campaign that helps workers. And by the way, I'm going to use the word workers a lot. Really what that means is everybody who needs an income. It's, you know, from the person flipping burgers at McDonald's all the way to the CEO of IBM. So we help workers plan, protect their incomes, and build contingency in case they experience an income-limiting disability. It's important to understand what we're not about. We don't do any selling. Again, we're an awareness campaign. We don't advocate for products. You won't hear us talking about, you know, buy this product, buy that product. We don't do any lobbying. And we do focus exclusively on disability. And this approach, including the nonprofit pedigree, gives us credibility and objectivity. And CDA has become a go-to place for disability information for advisors and the media, employers, consumers, and so on. CDA was founded in 2005, initially by 5 visionary disability insurance company executives who recognized that the need for income protection was poorly understood compared to, say, the need for health care protection or protection from death or retirement planning. And they recognized that there was little public discussion or discourse going on despite the importance of income and the fact that it was at risk. So they established CDA as an awareness campaign, you know, kind of the got milk campaign of disability awareness, if you will. So our mission is to expand awareness of the likelihood of disability, to increase knowledge about the hardship that disability can cause, to demonstrate the value of planning responsibly, and to make the importance of income protection a newsworthy topic so that it really is a no-brainer foundational pillar of any kind of financial planning. It's just something that everybody does. We have 19 member insurance companies, and these companies represent some 75% plus of the both individual and group disability markets. You can see the logos here on your screens. If you do business with these companies, any of these companies, it would be greatly beneficial if you thank them for supporting CDA and for making these kinds of resources available. And there are also companies that aren't represented on this page, and I would ask that you suggest to any of them that you do business with that they become members. Everybody benefits from the work we do, and it's not fair for only some companies to shoulder the burden. You know, I kind of think about it as going to the same church every week and not putting money in the collection plate. Okay, so one thing we're known for at CDA is gathering and developing and validating and distributing statistics about disability, and they can be accessed and used by anyone. They're available at our website, again, disabilitycanhappen.org. There are no usernames or passwords required. I would also note that the statistics we put on our website are accurate, they're validated, they're sourced back to the original They're available for download. And there are a lot of bad statistics floating around the industry, and it kind of gives us a bit of a black eye, so I would be very, very careful about what you use. So I'm not going to go through all these, but you can certainly go to our website and download them in a PDF. 1 in 4 of today's 20-year-olds will become disabled for 3 months or longer before they retire. 1 in 4, 25 out of 100. And when we do our research, we learn that most people, about 2/3 of people, think that their odds are about 1 or 2 out of 100. So they're underestimating their risk of disability by tenfold. It always kind of amazes me that when you talk to people, I don't really know anybody that's disabled, today there are over 8.7 million workers, which is over 5% of the workforce that are receiving Social Security disability, which, as you know, is very, very difficult to qualify for. So certainly people are experiencing disabilities. About 2/3 of the agents who don't sell disability insurance, when asked why they didn't sell it, responded, because clients don't ask. And to me, as trusted advisors, it's simply not acceptable. It's up to us, regardless of how difficult it is, to bring up the subject because it's so important. The most penetrated occupational category for disability insurance is physicians, and many of you know that, and many of you probably have physician clients. And there are a number of reasons for that, but certainly one of the key ones is they understand the risk, right? They see people that are sick and hurt every single day, which is one of the reasons why they are so diligent about covering their incomes. And about 2/3 of the private sector workforce, about 100 million people, have no private long-term disability insurance of any kind. I think most of you know that disability is far more likely during one's working years than death. An interesting sidebar, if you looked at this slide for women only, there would be even a much greater disparity for women who have a lower mortality risk but a higher disability risk than men. Another interesting point is I saw a survey where people were asked why they had purchased life insurance, and their response, the most common response, was to replace income. And obviously, greater risk of disability taking one's income away. Okay, so the slide you're looking at here is busy, but quickly explaining it, each of these bars represents the percentage odds of becoming disabled in that year at each given age. And there's assumptions made, of course, what the categories of people are here. The red part of the bar represents the odds of being disabled from sickness, the green part from accident. And a couple of things come out of this slide, I think. The first one is, and this is obvious, that one's risk of disability increases with age. But the flip side of that is that there is a disability risk, and not an insignificant one, even for a 25-year-old. Another key point here on this one is that the risk of disability from illness is really much greater than from an accident over the course of one's working career. And even a 25-year-old has a greater risk of becoming disabled from an illness compared to an accident, which is just the opposite of kind of the conventional wisdom, and it's one of the things that we really need to educate people about. A last key point is that and this is, I think, important for you folks, the difficulty in obtaining disability insurance and the cost of disability insurance increase in proportion to the risk. So it makes a great deal of sense for people to buy when they're younger. This next slide is simply the cumulative rates of disability. So over a career, adding up all of the yearly odds from the prior slide, based on this set of assumptions, you can see that for a 25-year-old, cumulatively over a period of time until age 65, that person's risk is 4 in 10 that they would experience a long-term disability. Okay, I'm changing gears here a bit. One of the things we've been doing over the last couple of years is, I think, some excellent research. And hopefully many of you have seen the reports. We've called this the Disability Divide series. We have conducted research with consumers, with working consumers, and also with advisors. We're doing a third piece with employers. And studying materials like these fuels your preparation and your knowledge, and it helps you build your own personal brand. You can download these reports, you can read them, you can share them, and we hope you do share them with your colleagues or clients or any others that might be interested. And we believe they give some valuable insights into how consumers and advisors think about disability and how their perceptions compare to reality. So I'm going to go through this real quick here. But the first thing we learned is that wage earners believe their income is the most valuable piece of financial security they have. It's the most valuable item they have towards their financial security. More valuable than their homes, more valuable than their savings, their retirement, any of those things. We asked an open-ended question right in the beginning of the survey, and the question was something like, when you hear the word disability, what comes to mind? What do you think about? And we organized all of those verbatim responses into categories. And the most common response that people gave was, disability means I wouldn't be able to work and I would lose my income. 83% of the people said disability can happen to anyone at any time. I've been around this stuff a long time, and I was really surprised by some of the responses. 83% disability can happen to anyone at any time. Another question we asked is, if you were to become disabled, how long do you think you would be out of work? And this response shocked me, actually. I was expecting people to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, thinking of the flu or colds. 2/3 of the people said that a disability would last a year or more. 31% said people would never come back to work. And one of the themes in this research is that people view disabilities as catastrophic events. And I think this is important for us to understand. Even though people do have accidents that cause them to become quadriplegics, or they suffer massive strokes or heart attacks that disable them for life, disabilities more often are caused by chronic, familiar, mundane issues: bad backs, chronic heart disease, diabetes and obesity, things of that nature. Another thing we learned is if someone knows someone who's become disabled, they view their own risk as higher. And that speaks to the importance of personalizing disability, putting a face on it, making it real to people. As an industry, we've been very focused on statistics and sort of left-brain analytical, proof that someone will be disabled, when the emotional side tends to work better if someone knows someone has had disability, or if you share a story. Another key revelation was that 2/3 of the people in this survey said income protection planning is important for people in their 20s or at any age. So when we talked to advisors, they didn't necessarily have the same view of that, but I think that was an important finding. Some other beliefs. While people intellectually realize that disabilities can happen, they mostly don't think it will happen to them. People are very reluctant to view their future health as deteriorating, as becoming worse than it is today. And this is something we have to help people get over. I read something not too long ago that I thought was kind of interesting. 90% of drivers think they're better than average, and the same sort of phenomenon applied here. As I said earlier, people think that if they were to become disabled, it would be caused by an accident, when 9 out of 10 times it's going to be caused by an illness. We also found that most people have a very poor understanding of their disability benefits, if they have them. Sometimes people think they have things they don't even have. And lastly, many wage earners have this sort of vague idea that they have something, some kind of safety net to fall back on. They may be thinking about Social Security or workers' comp, but the fact is they think there's something there which may not be true. So this illusion of available resources combined with a reluctance to view the potential for worsening health basically results in a lack of planning and action. So this slide is from our Disability Divide Advisor research, and it speaks to the point I made just a bit ago. So we asked a couple questions. We asked consumers, at what age do you think it's important to start planning financially in case of an illness or injury that causes you to miss work and lose your income? And that's the green bars. So you can see 2/3 said either people should plan in their 20s or at any age. We asked advisors about what age do you think clients are most open to a discussion regarding disability insurance, and the most common response was in their 40s. So I guess I want to challenge the conventional wisdom, and I almost wonder if the mindset of younger people has changed given the financial environment. You know, certainly people feel vulnerable and are looking for security. So I guess one point I take away is that younger people may be better prospects than we might otherwise think. Okay, so how do we get this conversation going? And I have 3 very simple suggestions, and in my mind, simple is really best. One question to ask is, what is your most valuable financial resource? Ask the question and then be quiet and listen and let the prospect or client talk and write down their answers. Now, a bit of a digression here. We're introducing a new tool. It's going to be made available on May 1st. It's called the Earned Income Quotient Calculator. It's actually been part of our PDQ calculator in the past, which I'll talk about in a bit. But it's a pretty simple tool to help people understand the value of their income. People enter their age, they enter the date they think they'll retire, what their current income is, and what kind of pay increases they expect to receive over the years, 2, 3, 4%, whatever. And it tells them the value of their income. And we're creating this to be easily used in a face-to-face setting with iPads or other mobile devices, to be shared on social media. So I'd suggest you look for this. If you're not on our email list, it will be distributed to our email list on May 1st. I would suggest that you send us a note or give us a call. We'd be happy to add you. If you're on our list and you see the email, I'd suggest you open it. But you can certainly have access to this interesting new tool. I like the concept of the value of human capital. And some of you may be using this as well. But the idea is this: if you were valuing a business, you would look at the future earnings potential of that business to determine what it is worth. And really, if you think about it, the same is true with a wage earner. A key point here, and this, by the way, was just an example I did. You know, a 21-year-old person maybe coming out of college, starting off at a modest pay scale, $35,000, which is kind of on the low side for a college graduate who can find a job. 3% pay increase a year, 10% every 5 years because they get a promotion or a job change. That will produce over the course of a working career $4 to $5 million of income. It's a huge number. And a key point is the younger you are, the higher your human capital value because you have more earnings years in the future. So again, I don't want to keep harping on this point, but young people have the most to protect. Protection is easiest and least expensive to obtain, and the odds of disability over a longer period of years are actually higher. So in other words, a 25-year-old has a higher chance of becoming disabled between 25 and 65 than a 45-year-old would have between 45 and 65. This is an interesting slide. This is actually some research by Northwestern Mutual, which is a company that's not a CDA member. We're trying to recruit them. If there are any Northwestern people out there, I hope you can help us. They're very significant users of our materials. In any event, they ask a couple questions. First, what events would you be most devastated by? And the second question is, have you purchased an insurance product to protect you from that event? And you can see that the two events people would be most devastated by was, number one, home burns down, number two, disabled and unable to work. But if you look at the differential between the how devastated people would be versus what percentage have protected themselves, it's a significant difference. Okay, second question, and this is the one personally I would start with. And the question is simply this: if your paycheck stopped, what sources would you tap into to pay your bills? And again, be quiet and let them list out various sources. And then you can have a discussion about those sources. In our Disability Divide research, this slide shows how wage earners answered those questions. So the most popular response is, I would pay my bills using my sick pay and vacation. Second most popular response was disability insurance payments, and then spouse or partner's income, then debt, and so on. I think it's an important sign of the times that household savings was dead last on that list. And by the way, I think that's accurate. But what this enables you to do is really to create responses in advance to each of these various ways people think that they'll be able to pay their bills if their income goes away. And I'm not going to read all these. We do have a document. We can provide these to you if you'd like. But if they talk about sick pay and vacation, you can point out that, geez, these are very short-term solutions. They might run out in 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. You need to find out from your employer. And if you're going to get $1,500 a week and that's going to last for 6 weeks, how long can you live on $9,000? Disability insurance payments is, of course, the most valid response, but that leads to a discussion of, what programs do you have? Are you covered at work? Do you have a group program? Do you have an individual policy? Are you eligible for benefits that you aren't signed up for? Do you know when your benefits start? Do you know how long they go? Do you know how much a month you'd receive? Do you know if it's taxable? All of those things would then become part of the conversation. And of course, the most important question is, does it provide you with enough to pay your bills? And if not, what do you do about that? Spouse or partner's incomes, people that have two incomes tend to be spending all or virtually all of those two incomes. I think another point people miss is that if one spouse becomes disabled, the other spouse may have to take on more responsibility as a caregiver, or they may have to hire somebody to come into the home, credit card, loan debt, and so on. So, you kind of get the idea. You'll know what the responses are in advance. Third question that you can ask to begin to engage a prospect or a client is, what do you think your risk is of an illness or injury preventing you from working for 3 months or more during your career? And again, I think stories are the best, but it's a great question, and chances are people are going to dramatically underestimate their risk. And you can use our PDQ calculator, our personal disability quotient calculator, to help answer that question. And it's available. You can click through to it from disabilitycanhappen.org, or it has its own microsite, which is whatsmypdq.org. And I hope that most of you have seen this and know how it works. If you haven't, if you do nothing else, take this when you get done with the call. Go to our website or go to whatsmypdq.org and just check it out yourself. It takes about 2 minutes. But basically what people do is they answer a series of questions: what your age is, gender, height, weight, a little bit about your job, are you white collar, blue collar, a little bit about your health, do you have good health or not so good health, do you smoke, and it will give you then a pretty sophisticated actuarial prediction of your chances of becoming disabled before you retire, And if you do become disabled, the chance, in this case 43%, it would last 5 years or more. The average length of disability for someone that's about like you is 86 months. And this is a prediction, of course. But it's a great way to engage somebody. This can be added to a website if you have one very easily. It's not a link. It's by use of a widget. So you can actually put this calculator on your website. If anybody's interested in this, let us know. And this is going through a great facelift. The graphics are good now. They'll be improved on May 1st. We're enhancing the performance for iPhones, iPads, Kindles, and so on. And in the EIQ I talked about earlier, the earnings calculator is tagged onto the back end. So when people figure out their risk, okay, now you can find out how much you have at risk. So this actually links the two. We have a paper version which is available on our website. You can easily download this. You can print as many as you want. It's something that can be used face-to-face if the internet isn't available. It makes for a great mailer. You can include this in an enrollment package. You can hand it out at a benefits meeting. There's a piece of white space here where you can customize it. You can add your own contact information. That's okay. There's a Spanish version available. So again, take advantage of it. So all this stuff you can find at disabilitycanhappen.org. A couple other things I just would point out here. We've already talked about stats and research. I'm going to touch on the graphs and charts library a bit before we finish. We do an annual long-term disability claims study, which is another great tool to help educate yourself. There's a lot of information there about disability claims and what causes them, but also SSDI information. We have America's Disability Counter, which you can see this is a widget version of it. It's constantly moving, kind of like the population clock or the debt clock. It's got its own URL, disabilitycounter.org. You can see this little widget window on our home page. 1.4 million people have been disabled as of about an hour ago. I checked. But this widget can also be added to a small little window. Can be added to a website as well. So again, if anyone's interested in enhancing their website or spiffing it up, you can talk to us about that. I talked about the PDQ calculator, the EIQ. We have real life stories available. There's a disability quiz. There's a income and expense calculator. The charts and graphs library, briefly, is something we created because many people, advisors especially, kept asking us for graphs and charts. They liked the idea of having pictures in their presentations. So we created a library. And it's loaded with professionally rendered charts and graphs that you can download and drop into your own presentation or marketing piece, or put it on a website, or use it as a one-page or a handout. This happens to be the cause of claim analysis from our annual claim study. There's another one we created. People, they like the idea of knowing what kinds of things were causing claims, but if we said, gee, 10% of claims are caused by the nervous system and diseases of the nervous system and sense organs, well, what does that mean? Well, you can see here it means multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, paralysis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, Bell's palsy, and things of that nature. Here's a chart that shows what's been going on with SSDI. You can see that the number of applications has been skyrocketing while the approvals are remaining somewhat constant. Again, we have a lot of information on the website in the charts and graphs library, and also in the claim study about that. We just saw this particular slide a minute ago. Okay, Disability Insurance Awareness Month is in May. I think you probably all know that, and whether you take advantage of Disability Insurance Awareness Month or not, we are creating and making available a lot of new tools for May. And again, we'll be sending an email blast out on May 1st, so if you want to get on our list, please do that. We have a landing page. It's active now. It's not complete, but if you wanted to go there, it's disabilitycanhappen.org +1-800-878-DIAM. And we're offering social media tools, the new calculator I talked about, the improved PDQ. And we've also created some QR codes. And I imagine many of you who are smartphone devotees know what these things are, but you can scan these using a smartphone or similar device, and the QR code will take you directly to each of these websites. As a matter of fact, you can try it right here on the screen if you're quick enough. From our perspective, a wonderful way to get the word out for CDA and for you about disability awareness and the disability risk and the importance of income protection is using social media. And we are getting more and more active on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. Please join us. We're sponsoring a drawing during May, giving away iPads. So if you have any interest in registering for that, all you need to do is like us on Facebook, facebook.com/DCDA, and entering is simple as a couple of mouse clicks. So we'd encourage you to do that. And lastly, how can you help? Join the income protection movement. Disability is never a good thing, but it's devastating if people don't have the means to fall back on. And it's not just a problem for the disabled individual, it's a problem for everybody, for employers and for society as a whole. There's no reason in my mind to not engage every single prospect and client about their risk of disability and protecting their incomes. It doesn't mean every person needs income protection. If someone's 63 years old and their retirement's set, they probably don't need it. But everybody deserves a discussion. And as a trusted advisor, I can't imagine anything worse than having somebody you've spoken with become disabled and lose their income and lose their homes and become bankrupt and families break up and all kinds of bad things if you haven't brought up the subject. It's one thing if they don't buy, but there's nothing to be lost by talking about it. So use CDA tools and resources, get on our email list, join us on social media networks, and please do thank the member companies for stepping up and ask non-members to do their part by joining. And kind of finish up where we started, success is born of preparation and knowledge. And you can build your brand, you can become more prepared, you can become more knowledgeable by going to our website and taking advantage of all the great tools and materials that you'll find there. So that's all I have. Thank you. I think we're going to take some questions. You can see my email address and our phone number there. And again, you're always welcome to contact us at any time. Thank you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question pane. If you have any questions, please just type them. And if not, if you have any questions that you think about later, you can contact Barry directly, or you can contact me or your local Plus Group office. And at the moment, Barry, I don't see any questions. I think you did a great job explaining everything.
Well, hopefully everybody knows everything now. I do want to wish everybody much success during Disability Insurance Awareness Month, but really throughout the rest of the year. And we sincerely hope we hear from you and that you find the materials we provide to be helpful and educational. So thank you.
And again, you will receive a copy of the presentation along with the audio by tomorrow. So you'll get an email, follow-up email, and it will be included. And we appreciate Barry helping us out today. Great information, and we appreciate all of you attending. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us, and also check out the Plus Group website at www.plusgroups.com. Thanks again, Barry, and thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.